Yeah, I really had to fight for the role. She's written to be a 37-year-old Oxycontin-addicted mother living in Charlestown, Boston. So it was very different than anything I had ever done, and I was 21. I'm sure everybody that read it connected to it emotionally because it was written so beautifully, and you could understand why she made the terrible decisions that she makes, the pain that she feels, and you know, I just thought I really want to portray this woman. And so I fought really hard to get an audition because I was so wrong for it. They didn't want to see me. I took a train out there. I auditioned with him for 10 minutes and then took a train right back. It was like 10 hours worth of travel for 10 minutes. But when I finished my audition, he said, "What part of Boston are you from?" And I said, "Oh, that's the best saying you could ever say to me." I didn't even know parts of Boston, so I didn't even know what to make up. But then after that, I had to read with him again because it was still a stretch, you know. Yeah. Still a 21-year-old girl I'm reading for. But he did change it and adapt it, make it a little younger so that I could play this part. And when I auditioned the second time, I read with him and a few other actors. And
Ben Affleck has finally reached his breaking point and is exposing the real catalyst behind his marriage downfall with Jennifer Garner. And guess who's at the center of it all? Blake Lively. That's right, after years of whispered rumors and tabloid talk, Ben is laying it all out, revealing how Blake swept in during the town filming and shattered his once idyllic family life with America's sweetheart Jen Garner. But what actually went on behind the scenes of that movie set? Did Jen Garner catch on right away, or was it all under the radar until it was too late? And why is Ben speaking up only now after such a long silence? Let's dive straight into the eye of this Hollywood storm. Ben Affleck just dropped a bombshell. His relationship with Jennifer Garner began to unravel the moment he cast Blake Lively in The Town back in 2010. This wasn't some trivial casting call. Blake fought for that role, and now it's crystal clear why she was so determined. Remember, she was up against the producer's skepticism. As Blake herself once confessed, she went to extraordinary lengths, multiple auditions, even a 10-hour round trip by train for just a few minutes with Ben. She was insistent on playing Krista Coughlin, a 37-year-old Oxycontin-addicted mom from Charlestown. Blake was only 21 at the time, so it was a major stretch. So how did she win over Ben and the producers? Well, it's looking like certain off-screen sparks may have helped push her over the finish line. Here's where things get really juicy. Despite serious doubts from producers, Ben went all in for Blake. Sources say the chemistry between them in the audition room was off the charts, making it painfully obvious to everyone there that something more was happening. And let's not forget, Ben was still very much married to Jen Garner, America's sweetheart, mother of his 3 kids. Their 5th wedding anniversary was on the horizon, but behind closed doors, cracks were already showing. Blake's arrival acted like a sledgehammer, smashing whatever was left of their fragile harmony. Ben has reportedly confided that he was immediately drawn to Blake's vibrant energy and how she managed to make him feel like the most important person on set. According to insiders, it was a spark he'd been missing at home for a while. Jennifer Garner is nobody's fool. The second she learned that a 23-year-old Blake Lively was now Ben's co-star, and that Ben was also directing, her warning signs began blaring. Think about it. He's 38, well-established, and abruptly invests in this fresh talent who's more than a decade younger. That's enough to unnerve any spouse, but Jen genuinely tried to be supportive, dropping by the set with their kids. Unfortunately, those visits only fed her worst nightmares. Crew members mentioned that Ben and Blake were way too close, exchange of glances, sneaky smiles, and a tangible tension. Jen, in an effort to keep things normal, would phone Ben during shooting, but he'd regularly brush her off with a quick, "Busy with a scene, can't talk?" Suspicious, right? But the real deal-breaker came when she checked Ben's phone and discovered texts from Blake that had nothing to do with the script. Naturally, Jennifer confronted Ben about those steamy messages. He insisted it was just them getting into character, claiming the content was more about method acting than romance. But Jen wasn't buying it. As filming went on, Ben became more and more preoccupied, constantly praising Blake's brilliant approach to their scenes or raving about her unique perspective. Tension soared when Jen appeared on set unexpectedly and caught the two in a very intimate conversation, which they abruptly halted the second they noticed her. One bystander recalled seeing tears in Jennifer's eyes as she rushed away. That was a stinging blow for a wife already teetering on the edge. Just when Jennifer thought things couldn't get worse, the town's promotional tour began, a period she later called her personal nightmare. Every interview with Ben and Blake made headlines for their unbelievable chemistry. Interviewers couldn't help but note their flirtatious banter and little inside jokes nobody else understood. Making matters more suspicious, Blake ended her long-time relationship with Penn Badgley around the same time. Were these just coincidences or part of a larger pattern? Jennifer, for one, certainly believed they were connected. The media picked it up, printing endless photos of Ben and Blake looking positively cozy at red carpets. Observers claim they'd never seen Ben as animated and alive with Jen as he was with Blake. Jen Garner tried to keep her composure in public, but insiders say her world was caving in. She would show a brave face at events but head home to screaming matches with Ben. One confidant confided that Jen outright asked him if he was in a full-blown affair. While Ben swore it wasn't physical, he did admit he and Blake had a profound emotional bond, enough to devastate Jen. That admission was basically like a slow-motion avalanche, confirming for Jen that she was losing him emotionally, if not outright physically. And it's particularly ironic, considering how their love story started in 2003, when Ben was engaged to Jennifer Lopez yet quickly switched to Jen Garner after meeting her on the set of Daredevil. Now it looked like history was repeating itself, but this time she was on the receiving end of the heartbreak. The biggest indicator that something really happened between Blake and Ben? In 2014, Ben was offered a huge film opportunity co-starring with Ryan Reynolds, but Jennifer Garner basically forbade him from accepting. Why? She wanted no possibility of having to be around Blake Lively, who was now Ryan's wife. Talk about a major red flag. If there was nothing to suspect, why would Jen be so adamant? Insiders say Ben grudgingly passed on the offer, a hidden apology for his earlier mistakes, perhaps. Even though Blake moved on, dating Leonardo DiCaprio for a spell, then eventually marrying Ryan Reynolds, the damage to Ben and Jen's marriage was unfixable. Trust eroded, and Ben slid into even more self-destructive habits like excessive drinking and problematic gambling. Eventually, he got embroiled in that infamous nanny scandal, which put the final nail in their marriage's coffin. While their divorce became official in 2018, many close to the family insist the marriage's true breaking point was back in 2010 when Ben fixated on Blake. As if this drama needed another layer, there's the question of whether Blake Lively routinely crosses lines with married or committed co-stars. Right after The Town, she jumped into Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds, who at the time was still married to Scarlett Johansson. According to set insiders, the flirtation was so overt they'd slip off to hotels together. Shortly after that, Ryan and Scarlett divorced, and guess who suddenly became Hollywood's hottest new couple? You guessed it, Ryan and Blake. It's eerily similar to her scenario with Ben, a man already married or engaged, a movie set, and a swift dissolution of his relationship that conveniently ends with Blake standing front and center. Ben's public acknowledgement now is partly fueled by the swirl of lawsuits and controversies currently ensnaring Blake, like the Justin Baldwin situation, where he's challenging her alleged controlling behavior. Meanwhile, Jennifer Garner has built a new, quieter life with businessman John Miller, re-energized her acting career, and kept her dignity intact. People admire her for taking the high road. Blake, on the other hand, is watching her sweet girl next door image fracture, as more stories emerge painting her as far from innocent. Telling sign? Even years afterward, Jennifer Garner meticulously avoids any event or project that could lead to a run-in with Blake. If it was all just hearsay, you'd think Jen wouldn't bother. But clearly, her wounds from Blake and Ben's supposed fling run deep. So there you have it, the scandalous saga Ben Affleck has finally decided to go on record about. If you thought the nanny drama was the whole story, think again. From the intense behind-the-scenes casting for The Town to the apparent meltdown of Ben and Jen's picture-perfect marriage, this messy situation points straight to Blake Lively's alleged meddling. Are you on Jen's side, or is Blake getting unfairly blamed for a marriage that was already shaky? Sound off in the comments and make sure you subscribe. This story is far from over, and you won't want to miss the next round of bombshells from Tinseltown's most chaotic love triangle, or quadruple. We've lost track at this point. And that's the latest dose of Hollywood drama. Thanks for watching. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any fresh celebrity tea. Sound off in the comments with your take on this sizzling saga and buckle up. There's always more star-studded scandal just around the corner.